Okay, friends, Golf Coach Dan coming back today. If you are returning from a previous video, thanks so much for sticking with us. If you're new here, thanks for checking us out. Consider hitting that subscribe button if you like what you see. Trying to be more succinct. So, what are we doing today? We're discussing the difference between how to hit a good driver shot versus how to hit good iron shots. What are the differences? So, when I think about this golf swing, to keep my own mind organized as a coach, I divide what I'm looking at into the verticals of the swing versus the horizontals of the swing. These golf clubs and the swing, everything's moving along an inclined plane. So it's three-dimensional, diagonal. There's aspects of horizontal and vertical in it. Horizontal, when I'm looking at the TrackMan, I'm looking at club face, club path, the face-to-path relationship, how that curves the ball through the air and starts it on a certain line. Essentially everything to do with the directional control of the golf shot. That's largely the same, driver to iron, right? What's going to make a driver slice is pretty much what's going to make an iron slice, maybe to different magnitudes, but the principles are the same. What is different about iron versus driver is how the club is interacting with the ball vertically, along the vertical side of the arc, if you will, right? For that, we're going to look to low point and attack angle. I've mentioned them in previous videos, but it sort of occurred to me that one, I should highlight more of how we use the TrackMan in these lessons. Two, I should really focus on some of the data points that I'm just kind of casually throwing around, because if you're not in this sort of 5-iron TrackMan world with me, you're not using this terminology maybe every day, and it could potentially help you out to better understand what we're talking about so casually. So, attack angle and low point. I look at it as though the low point controls the attack angle. So the club's going to swing on, for our purposes today, we're focused on the vertical side of the arc. So it's going to start at the bottom. It's going to swing to the top. It's going to come back to the bottom. The bottom and the low point are interchangeable terms for us, right? Bottom, low point, whatever you want to call it. But then it goes back up again into your follow through / finish, okay? So where the low point of the swing occurs in relation to where you hit the ball, impact, is the big difference between iron and driver. In a nutshell, a lot of you already know you want to tee the driver further up in your stance towards the front foot. This is why, right? But I think understanding why you do it, and then understanding how with maybe a driver, when you play the ball in the front of your stance, to allow this club, let's switch to driver, to allow the club to bottom out before it arrives to impact, right? I have to change drivers. This one's a little bit loose on me. But the ball being forward allows me to bottom out ahead of impact, before impact, to swing up on the ball. And understanding that, keeping that awareness is going to probably help me perform better with that driver versus we play irons more in the middle-ish so we can hit down on them more. Okay, cool. Let's not waste any more time. I'm going to hit 1 or 2 shots here. I'll start with my 7-iron, or a 7-iron, not mine. Let me go ahead and see if I can hit down on this. Not my best 7-iron shot, but I do think I created a negative attack angle after, way left. Yeah, horrible. But the low point was there, okay? So we're not going to waste any more time hitting another one. I'm going to switch over to driver. And let me just quickly bear with me here. I'm just going to grab a driver that is not loose. I don't have a wrench just sitting next to me. I'm going to play this driver towards the front of my stance, right? So maybe on or just inside my left foot there. That's going to let the club bottom out before it gets to impact for a positive attack angle. Okay. Pulled the iron left, pushed the driver right. Thank God we're focused on the verticals today. Okay. It's a positive attack angle with the driver because I bottomed the club out before I got into impact. Negative attack angle with iron because I bottomed the club out after I got into impact. I think I said that right? Driver, bottom out before, positive attack angle. Iron, things off the ground, bottom out after, low point after, to hit down on it. And we're going to handle that largely with ball position, right? So I have my iron, which is going to be in the middle, and I have my driver towards the front foot. That's the basics. We're going to dive over into the TrackMan now to look at a little bit more in detail on the video and some of the visual tools that they offer. So thanks for sticking with us so far. If you're interested in greater detail, let's keep rolling on. Let's do it.
Okay, friends, thanks for hanging out for the second half of the video. So we are looking at the TrackMan here, and we're going to analyze the negative attack angle with our iron versus the positive attack angle with our driver. Now, what you're going to see is that they both have a 5-iron at the top. That's because I just labeled them both as a 5-iron so I can compare them versus each other. If I put one as a driver and one as a 7-iron, it doesn't let me compare them the same way. Okay, so this one here with the low point distance 2.9 after, you can see I kind of hopped in there and really cut across it to the left. I also don't think I have my TrackMan perfectly aligned along the target line, so we have to maybe apologize there. We may have to somewhat ignore the horizontals here, but the low point distance 2.9 after impact allowed me to create an attack angle we can see on the left of negative 3.6, and the club right here is where we made contact with the ball, and that little line there is where the club reached the bottom of its arc vertically, right? And this kind of thing on the TrackMan is cool because we can grab that swing plane, twist it all around. We can see how I cut across it a bit. I'm not convinced I went that far left on it. I definitely hit the toe. You can kind of see that right there. But for the purposes of today's video, we bottomed out after impact. We hit down on the ball. For the driver, apologies, it's going to... Here, let me just quickly... I'll turn this into a driver. Okay, right. So now, I'm going to switch this back, but what we can see is the driver there bottomed out on that white line, and then boom, right after we bottomed out, we made contact with the ball for a positive attack angle. Now let me switch this back to a 5-iron, because now what we can do is I can hit compare, and we can look at the videos, right? So face on is how I would analyze a lot of what we're talking about here. Let's go with a nice red line off the ball. So I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to draw a 90-degree line out of the middle of it the best I can. That was towards the front of the ball. Let me do about the same there. Okay. So we can see originally is a big difference in ball position. With that 7-iron on the right, the ball is off my left eye kind of ear. And on the left side with my driver, you can see it's right off the shoulder and kind of on the instep of my left toe. Now, if I take the 7-iron to the top, I make a move into my right side, but that ball line is still kind of on my back. I'm going to make that same move with my driver, and I would highlight. It's kind of hard to see in the darkness there, but there is definitely a good chunk of space now between me and the ball line with driver that's not there with the iron. And what this is going to help us create is now I have space with driver to move back towards the ball. And let me just click back there. We're bottoming this club out somewhere in that region, right? We have the low point out of there, so that's about 2 inches behind. And now here on the right, that lateral motion is going to push me a bit past the ball line. We can see a little bit more of the... I'm not known for a ton of forward shaft lean, but we can see a little bit more there. And our iron bottomed out a couple inches after. Okay? So that's the nuts and bolts of how we're controlling attack angle and low point. It's a lot... Oh, I wanted to do those together. It's a lot of ball position. It's a little bit of your lateral motion as well, making sure that you can kind of laterally shift around the ball to where you're either sweeping up through it or kind of pinching down on it, whether it's driver versus iron. I hope this was an informative video. Again, if you enjoyed it, feel free to, or I highly encourage you, and would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button or the like button. Comment with any things that you want to see in the future. If you have any questions on the stuff we covered today, let me know. And again, thanks for watching.